Welcome back to Comics and Sweet Tea. Glad y'all could join us again on this lovely Saturday. Uh, so proud for all the new subscribers. Uh, we got a good one for you today. We got Kenny Aiken will be coming in here in just a few, and we'll be talking about Apex Cybernetic Samurai Owl Lunar Eclipse. But anyway, before we get into that, end of days, chapter 3, got it going live on Kickstarter. If you haven't signed up, jump on that. We're trying to reach that first stretch goal, and we hit that. Everybody gets more stuff. So just jump in there, share it on any kind of social media, help us get the word out on our little project. And if you like what you see on here, jump in there, subscribe, hit the little bell thingy, get those notifications. Anyway, let's get right to it. Let me pull Kenny in here and we'll get started. There he is, man. Glad to have you on, Kenny. So proud you can make it and have a little chat with us today.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. Awesome. I was hoping I could get you on here. I was worried about it. You told me, we were kind of chatting back and forth there for a couple weeks. And I know you've been working a lot of cons. I was like, man, he's probably gonna be busy. He's not gonna be able to make it in here, but I'm so glad you made time for us, buddy. So
Yeah,
let's jump right into it. Let's tell the folks about the cybernetic owl, kind of
all right.
where it was born.
Let's see, where do we start? Okay. This is the part. This is the part where I get held up. All right. So basically, he's created in a lab, breaks free from the creators, and just slaughters the whole crew. Ends up crash landing in the mountains. Meets up with a samurai. This old samurai dude teaches him like how to be a samurai and all this stuff. And then it's the guys that created him are trying to get him back. So they end up having a bunch of battles and stuff like that. And they're also creating like these giant monsters like T-Rexes and stuff that they send into Tokyo to attack stuff. And it's just kind of like a lot of over the top, like kind of like draws from like the kaiju style battles like Ultraman and stuff like that from um
I got you.
there's old movies and stuff like that, Godzilla, things like that, but also like a lot of Western comics like Wolverine, even video games, Mega Man, stuff like that.
Okay. And let's see, you do the write. I know you're an artist too, but you do what, the writing and the colors on this book right now?
Yeah, so I work with Brian Belando. He does the line art, and then I do the coloring, and then Justin Birch does the lettering.
Okay. And how does that process work? Do y'all have a good? Well, I'm sure you have a good collaboration, but what, like when you're laying out your script or whatever, and you're kind of going back and forth on that, kind of walk us through that process a little bit.
So I'll come up with the script. So it actually takes me kind of a while to write a script because I'm just kind of lazy about it, I guess. I just like I always kind of wait until
Oh,
like I'm
I
like, I
got
gotta
you.
get this script done. It's kind of like for me, it's probably the hardest part because I'm not really a writer. I am a writer, obviously, but
Yeah,
I'm more of an
I
artist.
got
So
what you're saying.
right. So I mean, it's like I'll go through, I'll make the script, and I'll revise that thing like 30 million times before I get it to Brian, and then
Know exactly what you're
so
talking about.
so Brian will send we do about 3 pages at a time. So he'll send me 3 pages of roughs, and then I'll approve them, and then he comes back to me with 3 finished pages, and then then I usually lately I've been waiting until like I have all the pages to color them because it's just I tend to my style tends to change through as I go. So if I do 3 pages now and then 3 pages next month, they might
Right.
look a little different.
You want to
So
be
just to keep my
consistent. I got
consistency.
you. I
Yeah.
got you.
So just for consistency, I've been doing them all at once, which has been kind of hard because like coloring 40 pages, in one block it's a lot of
Oh
work.
man,
So
that's daunting. That's what that is. That's very
it,
daunting.
it's a lot of work. So my books tend to run a little bigger than the most standard comics. So I usually go between 30 and 40 pages, depending on
Okay.
how the script works out. So I think our
Right.
next one
Right.
it's somewhere in between 30 and 40. I haven't got an exact page count because I'm still kind of working out some pages might not be actually fitting where they need to go, so I might just pull them. But
I
it's a
got
pretty
you.
big book. This next one, my last one was like 42, I think.
That's
The last,
awesome.
yeah. So, but that one I did. So when I colored that one, it was. I think I colored half of it early in the year, and then the other half later in the year. When I look back through, I'm like, I have to change some of these because they're not flowing. So
Right. Right. Yeah. When I know exactly what you're talking about. We'll be, I'll be halfway into a book, and the way we do ours, I kind of run with the Marvel method. I've got my plot, so I know where I'm going, but it's kind of loose on how I get there. And then we'll come back. We'll kind of halfway have a I wouldn't say a full script, but we wait till we completely get done with the book and then come back and do a full script and work out most of I'd say 70% of the dialogue is done after, and other than the narration is done in the plotting, of course. But yeah, get halfway into a book, and you just hit that spot where you're like, this ain't flowing. Something ain't right. And like you said, you'll either pull pages, or a lot of times I'll catch myself. I'll jump from one scene to the other, and I'll be like, now wait a minute, that doesn't flow. I need to
right,
back up. I try to look at it from a fan and a reader's perspective and say, well, okay, I'm a dumbass. Let me dumb this down so I'll understand it, and then I'll know everybody else will understand it if I got it. And I might add,
right.
anywhere between 2 and 4 pages. Do you find you do that a lot?
Yeah. One thing to do too, I do also like I'll write dialogue, but I'll just make it real rough, like just kind of get
Right.
an idea of like word bubbles and stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I almost always change the dialogue after I get the pages back. Sometimes
Exactly.
we'll get like I'll have an expression in mind, kind of, and I'll just kind of loosely convey that in the script, and then Brian will draw it, and then it
Right.
might look like a little different. Like the character might look a little more angry than like I originally thought. I'm like, oh, that looks good. So then like I kind of change the wording around a little bit, just kind of get that balance back out and stuff. But yeah, dialogue is always almost always never solid when I do
Right.
the first when he starts drawing it, because I always go back to and read it and I'm like, this sounds kind of dumb. you know so I'm always like, yeah, I could probably make that sound a little better, or I'll find errors like typos or whatnot,
Oh
and
yeah, God,
you
yeah,
know
I know
so,
that. Oh yeah, I find plenty of those in my shit. My daughter, she's a co-writer, but she's also my editor too. Thank God, she was an English major, and I didn't go to college. I went straight to work out of high school, so I lean on her heavy for all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying I'm a dumbass, but I'm saying I'm a dumbass. So we'll put it, we'll leave it like that.
yeah, I didn't do
But
too much college. Just more recently I did a few English classes, just kind of get some
brush up.
creative writing and stuff like
I
that, and
got you. That's
things
cool,
like that.
man.
I mean, I did the same thing, got out of high school, just went straight to work, building,
Yeah.
doing construction and stuff like that, eventually truck driving, and then things like that. So
Okay. That's cool, man. But let's see. There was something else I was fixing to ask you on the other line. Um, anyway, totally left me. We'll figure it out on if it was important, it'll come back to me. But yeah, another thing I noticed you said just a few minutes ago, that you look at it more of you don't you consider yourself an artist, but I mean you consider yourself a writer, but you really consider yourself more of an artist. And I know exactly what you mean when you say that, because yeah, I'm writing, but I consider myself an artist, you know, and but do I know it helps me, but do you find in your writing it kind of helps you kind of relate to your artist more to be able, because we're visual guys. I mean,
Right, right.
naturally as an artist, does that seem like it helps you convey more in your, or do you think it hurts you, makes you super descriptive in your scripts that you turn out? What you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Do
yeah, I
you
get it.
think it helps or you think it hurts?
I think it's so. I think actually for me personally, I think so. I know what it takes to draw, these things and like kind of put them
Right.
out on paper. So
Exactly.
when I write it, I know I go in there understanding that and know that I can what, and especially since I've had a working relationship with Brian for a couple of years now. I know what he's capable of doing, so
I
I
got you.
just know that I can trust what he's gonna make a good judgment call. And sometimes I'll
Right.
just be like, yeah, this is it doesn't have to be too complicated, right? Always. So I usually just give him a vague vague description and just let him and his ability
Let him flow with it.
carry it, because and then I'll go in with the colors afterwards and make a decision. Almost 9 times out of 10, he's able to get exactly what I was thinking from what I wrote
Right.
down. So
Sounds like y'all got a really good flow going. That
yeah, it's really good.
that
I mean,
doesn't always happen.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been super fortunate, like to just kind of hook up with him and just have the working relationship we have. Because when I first started the comic, I was pretty stubborn about it, and I wanted to like just have control over everything. I wanted to draw everything,
Well,
color
that's your
everything.
baby. That's your baby, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I
So
completely understand that.
it was tough to hire somebody to do it. But my original storyboards, I actually haven't showed them to him yet. But my original storyboarding I did for the first like 20 pages of the first book, almost I think like 90% of the panels are exactly what I
Oh
storyboarded out
wow,
without even
that's
showing him,
awesome.
and like it came out just like that. It's nuts.
That's
So
awesome. That
yeah,
it's rare that you can find somebody like that. You know,
it's pretty cool.
yeah, and I had recently went back and because I don't know if you read any of my books, but the first couple books, well, especially the first book, you see there's a history between two of my main characters, and I always intended to go back and kind of tell that, and but I wanted. I hate to say I wanted to pull a Lucas, but I pulled a Lucas. I jumped, I jumped into the to the heat of it. You know, it did my episode 4, and now I'm gonna go back and do a prequel. We're looking at a one shot, but who knows, man? I mean, the way the script's coming right now, I don't know if we'll be able to knock it out in one because I'm the same way. I mean, I don't want to nail myself down to, well, I'm doing 22 pages or I'm doing
Right,
28 pages or I'm doing 32 pages. I like the story to dictate, however long it takes to tell the story, that's what
right,
size the
right.
book is going to be. I want it to flow organically, and I like, when it's time to end it, and when you let it happen. And I said all that to say this: I took on full writing responsibilities on this prequel, and so anyway, I'm working with I don't know if you know Matt Martin. He's from the UK. He does an Instagram comic, Chasing the Sun. He also works for Virus Comics. He does Hindsight. It's a branch of Virus Comics is a branch of Heavy Metal,
Yeah, yeah.
and he does Hindsight for them.
Okay.
And but yeah, just oh man,
I
he's
haven't seen any of their stuff come out. Actually, I remember they released the imprint like right, was it like right before the pandemic started, and then
yeah,
like
yeah,
and
right in
then
there.
it was like okay, it was kind of a bad timing to have something called Virus, but
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah. So yeah,
But
I actually haven't seen any of their stuff.
yeah, you can go to shopheavymetal.com and find all their books. But
Okay.
he's got some really incredible stuff. And man, I think it was my first campaign. He jumped on there and he backed me, and we got to, we started following each other on Instagram and just got to chatting it up and just kind of hit it off. And he loves what I was doing with the book. It's real similar to what he was doing. He was actually fixing to start Hindsight when I launched my first campaign. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm fixing to be kind of delving into something similar to this." And he said, I can't wait to see what you do with it. And we just, it went from there. You know, it was like fate. So anyway, and we've gotten pretty close through this time. It's year and a half now. He's just an incredible guy, man. Just super nice guy. Well, he's done a live or two with me on Instagram. We're planning on doing one on the YouTube channel here, and we video chat. We text about every other day. I mean, he's just, you couldn't ask for a better guy. But anyway, we started kind of throwing this around, this prequel book, and he was like, "Oh yeah, definitely." He said, I love your story, and I want to be a part of this." I'm like, "Well, okay." Then we kind of went from there. You know, I was just shocked that he jumped on it that quick, and man, I've given him probably about 10 pages of the script so far, which I've been tied up trying to get, into days three knocked out, and plus running this channel and everything. So I've got 10 pages, 10 good pages hammered out, and I've got my plot going, and I'm trying to get finished with that. But anyway, he's already given me 5 pages, and I mean, if I'd have drawn it myself, it's exactly the way I'd have done it. So I know what you mean when you find that with somebody. I didn't think I would ever find that with somebody, to trust my baby with,
Right,
to
right.
take over the artistic duties on that. So it's a rare thing, and I'm glad you found it, buddy. I didn't think I would ever find it, but thankfully I found it with Matt.
It's super. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool to have that like creative kind of bond going with,
Yeah,
it's cool.
it's insane, man. It really is. For it's literally, I fuck with him. I told him he's like my Tyler Durden, you know, because
Right.
that's really what it feels like. I mean, it's like he's in my damn head, you know. It's like he is, you know. But anyway, so tell me, your cons. What all you've hit up several cons here lately, hadn't you?
Yeah. So I
How's
did the
that been
first
going?
one. Good, good. I did really good. Both shows I did real good. Last week was kind of a test. So we did a SAC anime last week.
Right.
The previous weekend I did one up in Boise, Idaho called it's called Gem State Comic Con. It was my first time up to Idaho ever. So I think I've been to Idaho
Okay.
when I was a little kid, but it was a long drive. It was actually it was faster to drive than it was to fly because the way
Right.
the planes worked out. So totally crazy drive. Like 1 minute I'm in the mountains, next minute I'm in a desert, next
Oh
minute
wow.
it's snowing, next minute it's raining, and I'm like
That's
practically in the
insane.
jungle. It was weird. I couldn't believe it. And then just I've never driven across time zones before.
Right.
It's California so big. I've just been up and down California and the West Coast, Oregon, Washington.
Gotcha.
Um, it's really weird, like driving into another time zone. It's a trip. I don't know. It's weird to me, but I'm like running from the sun like the whole time.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it was cool though. So that show was really good. It was the first one back in as because I used to do shows as did the fan art thing with like my
Yeah.
paintings and stuff like that, and that was fine. But it wasn't really my thing. I don't really like the trend chasing. It's like I gotta
Yeah.
paint Baby
Yeah.
Yoda. I gotta paint the
Exactly.
newest thing, and I'm not into that. So I
You wanted to do your thing. You wanted to tell
right,
your
right,
story. I
yeah.
got
So
nothing but respect for that.
it feels good, to do my own thing. So that was my first show back, at cons since the pandemic, and
Right.
I did real good. But it was a little bit of a different experience because when you're doing the fan art thing, people will just come up to your table and look
Yeah.
through your stuff and they'll buy stuff.
Right.
Comic books is different because I'm standing there and I'm like,
Gotta sell it.
nobody's coming over here and talking to me, and I realize I gotta sell this shit to these people.
Exactly.
They don't know what this is because this is a brand new thing. So
Right.
um it was a really crazy experience. So I mean, almost right away though, I'm like, it took me about a half hour to just get my wheels rolling and really just figure out like my sales pitch and telling people and I just basically got this one liner, this one or two lines that pretty much just repeating all day long.
Give me your pitch. I want to hear your
So
pitch.
so basically I just say so sometimes I'll be like, hey, do you like Cybernetic Samurai Owls? They're like, what the fuck is that? Like so
Hey,
that usually gets people,
that gets them thinking though.
that
That'll
usually gets
pull
them
them
going.
in.
Or I'll just say basically, I mean, this is my book, Apex Cybernetic Samurai Owl. It's about this owl that basically fights T-Rexes and squids with lightsabers and other evil
And
birds in
who wouldn't
Tokyo and
like
in
that?
the future.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
people are I mean, pretty well received, I think, for the first 2 weeks. So last weekend was a little different. I went to SAC Anime, which is the anime show, and there was only 2 other comic creators there
Oh.
out of the whole show.
Oh wow.
And I had these ladies that were these girls that were around me. So we had 2 tables on the other side and then one next to me. And they're like, man, I'm surprised you sold anything because these guys are cold, man. Because they just walk right on by. They
Well, I
want their.
could see your character as anime. I mean, it seemed like you would blow the roof off that place because
Well,
it kind of fits the genre.
well, we did pretty good. So for that show, I mean, they were like, man, that's you did pretty good considering because they're all those people go there for is the established characters, the anime characters that they like,
right.
Those kinds of things. They're not there to get sold, comic books. So
Exactly.
and besides that, they're not really into comics. They're into manga, which I mean is comics, but it's it's a little different.
Yeah, there's some mangas. I used to kind of put my nose up the manga, but I mean, hell, some of my favorite creators were influenced by manga. That's why they become comic book artists. So I don't bash it anymore. I embraced it through the years, and my daughter, she loves manga. She loves anime, and she turned me on to some really good stuff. And I mean, there's some great shit out there. You just got to get out there and look for it. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit, but I mean, hell, there's a lot of bullshit in mainstream comics nowadays. A lot more than there used to be.
Yeah, I like the availability of it. So like, I mean, for here where I live, all of our comic shops are gone. We don't have comic shops here anymore.
Yeah, we don't have any more here anymore.
So the closest one I think is 100 miles up the road in Chico.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not going to get a pull list from them. That's that's a hell of a drive, to go every week. So
exactly.
But I mean, I can go to Barnes and Noble and buy any manga I want. I mean, they have everything. They have 5 rows of it. So I think when I was a kid, what got me into comics was I'm at the grocery store with my mom, and there's a Batman comic on the newsstand, or X-Men or whatever, and I go get it, because it's right there, it's available, and there's just no availability anymore for this stuff.
Right.
So I think that's why manga is just so much popular. I think now, just because people can go buy it
that makes sense. I mean, it's everywhere,
And then you get these big old huge chunky volumes for like $10, and I mean, we're selling way thinner books than that for for the same price. So yeah, it's a different audience though. I mean, and there's some crossover, I think, but yeah, I mean, this last show was just an experiment to see if I could even sell to that crowd.
Yeah,
and I think we can. I think we did pretty good. So
like I said, I could totally see it going with that kind of crowd because it fits.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. There were some people that would just like look at me like, "The fuck are you talking about?" and just keep walking. So I mean,
you got those people everywhere though, Kenny.
Yeah.
You know that. I mean, you got those assholes, man.
It was. I mean, and I really can't blame them. I mean, I'm in their turf, right? Like this is their.
Right.
They want
like,
whatever.
Who are you,
right.
buddy?
Right.
Come
Exactly.
peddling your little indie books up in here.
So the next 2 should be pretty good. The next 2 I got. I'm doing Powerhouse Comic Con in Pleasanton, California.
Okay.
And that one's put on by the same showrunners as the one up in Idaho. I've been to their shows before prior to the pandemic as doing the fan art thing, and I always had pretty good success with those guys. So their shows are cool. And then the next one I'm doing is Ontario, California, which is I think it's down by LA somewhere. I've never been down there, but it's a 2-day show down there, which I'm doing next. So after the following weekend after that one. So
I got you. So you're originally from Northern California?
Yeah, way up north. I like to call it at the edge of civilization. If I walk a mile that way, I'm in the forest for the next 100, 200, 300 miles.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
I've never been in that part of the country. I've heard a lot of good things though. I've heard it's beautiful up that
It
way.
is. It is when it's not burning.
Yeah, yeah. My daughter and my son-in-law were actually up in right out of Seattle last year, kind of up that way, and they kind of I don't they cut through and they kind of went north through Northern California, just a little piece on up into Washington, and they just said it was gorgeous up there, man.
Yeah,
Just absolutely gorgeous. And
it is.
they sent
It
me
is.
some pictures, and I mean that dude, that looks like God's country. I could totally see myself hanging out over there.
Yeah, we got trees, we got mountains, we got rivers, lakes. I mean,
Got it all.
it's pretty amazing. I mean, when growing up as a kid here, it was kind of like there ain't shit to do here. This place sucks, you know. But I mean, I think that might be everybody, you know, because because we have this place. So I live in the city of Shasta Lake, which is just a real small town. It's probably like 10,000 people, maybe less. But the bigger town here is called Redding, which is
Okay.
a couple miles south, and it's kind of got a small town vibe,
Right.
but it wants to be bigger, you know. So like I always say, like I can blend in with like the country people, but also like I can also blend in with like the city people too, because like just that's the kind of area this is, you know.
I
So it's
got you.
kind of
I got you.
yeah, it's just kind of place it is. So
Sounds like it's nice, man. That sounds
yeah, not
because
bad.
I grew up in a small town. Waynesboro, Mississippi. We had maybe 10,000. I I wouldn't say 10,000, and which I moved out of that area about 12 years ago, and moved to a college town, uh, and I've been here for right about 10 years now, which I'd always wanted to live in this area. And I mean, it's just growing, man. God, it's growing. Which is still, I mean, it's still pretty rural when you look at places like, you know, New York or somewhere like that. I mean, it doesn't hold a candle to anything like that.
Right.
It's like I call it a big little town where I live at now. But yeah, Waynesboro, I know I know what that small town vibe's all about, man. And I wouldn't take nothing for that reason though, because you get out in the woods and just, do your thing, man. Go out there and swim in a pond, hit a lake, a river. I mean, I wouldn't take nothing for that. Fishing,
Yep.
hunting, you know. But I was the same way coming up. I was like, I hate this shit. This is so boring. I hate this place.
Yeah, you just want to go. You just want to go live in the city and just do
Hmm.
city things and shit like that. And it's funny because I
Yeah.
went and lived. I went and lived in the San Francisco Bay Area for a while when I was like 18,
Oh
and
wow.
I came back. I came back up here and just it's not that shit's just not for me. You know all the traffic
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
crazy shit. It's nice and
Yep.
quiet up here. I don't got to deal with anybody's shit. You know.
You can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy. I know exactly what you
Yeah.
mean. It's you always kind of gravitate back to that. I've lived in right outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I've lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and I mean, so I know what big city life's all about. But dude, when I come back here, it's home. It's home. It was nice. It was convenient because everything's right there. But yeah, all the bullshit. No,
Yeah.
no, just wasn't my thing. Anyway, so you paint too, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I do oil. I haven't really been doing acrylic painting lately. I've been sticking with oil because I started out with acrylic painting probably around 2015, 2016, right
Yeah.
around there. And I just started out. Originally, my objective was just to kind of learn color theory and because I just wanted to make comic books, and then I just
Right.
became a painter instead. It's kind of weird. It's 'cause-
Wow. And
yeah.
I've
So
I've seen some of your stuff, man. That it's incredible. I mean, I
thank
would
you.
love to be able to do that. I've tried it, believe it or not. I really have tried it, and I really suck at it. So I mean, I got all the respect in the world for somebody that can paint. It looks so soothing till I actually tried it, and I wanted to pull all my hair out. I was like, why can't I
I
make it
do that
look
too.
like that? Yeah. Well,
Every
dude,
time I do a
your
painting, I mean,
stuff's good. Mine look like pure shit.
I get through. I go through phases. I mean, right now I got this painting over here. It's been sitting here for probably. It's an alleyway. I think you've probably seen it. But it's been sitting here for like 3 months unfinished because I just don't even want to mess with it. I'm just like, it's in the ugly phase. So there's for me, there's like I got the beginning phase where I'm all excited and pumped up about it, and I start putting paint down, and I'm like, fuck, this thing, like, it's just turning out like shit. And then once I hit that point, I either stop or I push through. And when I push through, I usually almost always come out with something good. Especially these days, back when I was still still learning, and I'm still learning now, but when I was really a beginner, pushing through, you got to make those mistakes, right, and just continue to just like figure it out. It's always just a learning process. Like every single time I put a stroke down, I'm like, okay, that doesn't look right. Let's wipe that out and do that again. So it doesn't ever go away. You're always just going to want to pull your hair out, I think.
But I mean, you look at Bob Ross and you're like, look at this motherfucker. He is now he might have smoked the doobie a mile long right before he started painting, but I mean, he looks pretty damn chill. He's doing it, making his happy trees and all that kind of stuff, and he sells it, man. He makes it look just totally relaxing.
I think for him too, I think one thing about him is he was really confident in his process.
Yeah.
To where he just had it nailed down. Like, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I got a plan, and he's got it all planned out in his head, right? He's like, okay, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and all this, and it's going to look good. And it's going to look good because you've created that process where you start out one way, you plan it, and you just go, and hit those each step, and then that's the end of it. You're done, So
yeah, I got you. You're talking about doing fan arts and stuff like that. So, I know you draw. I've seen a lot of your art that you post. Do you have any plans to do a book where you write and illustrate also? Or are you just you on, Cybernetic Owl right now? Or do you have plans to actually maybe pencil some of it? Maybe a short story or something like that later on, or
maybe not for Apex. I think for Apex, I think it's pretty much, to me anyways, it's me and Brian, right? Like the way it looks, the style, like, I mean,
I don't blame you. I mean, if you got a good thing, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Right.
Yeah.
So I usually bring in other artists to do covers and stuff like that because it's just a lot of fun, to have different artists, different styles and stuff like that do covers. So that's something I think I'll always do. I do have one cover. I don't think I have. I don't know. I guess here's the art for it. Here. This is one that I drew. This is actually the box of our action figures we did.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did this illustration here for a cover that we used for the box art too for that.
Incredible, man. Incredible. Are you making did you make that, or?
So we did, I did a little, I had a guy reach out to me for my last Kickstarter campaign. He made these little figures here, these cool little boxes.
Those are badass, dude.
And we did some hand painted ones. A good friend of mine paints minis, and he was like, I'm like, hey, you want to paint these? Do them all, real nice. Like, super. I wish I had a picture of one. I don't have any. We sold all the hand painted ones. We only did 5, but we did those. So we did the action figures in the boxes for the last campaign. They were really popular. So this time we're actually doing resin statues. So I hired a 3D modeler to do this guy here. Wow. So this is a clear one. I'm printing in clear resin.
Yeah.
And then we're doing some hand painted ones too this time too as well. So.
Oh wow, man, that looks incredible.
This one's a little more this one's a little more to what do you call it? Like exact, like how he's on the character sheet. So I usually do character sheets, and I've been having Brian do them with me, like character sheets with color reference and all that stuff. So when I go back through the book, I just have like the exact colors for every thing. So I'm making everything consistent and stuff. And this is based off of the the character sheet that I did, and actually it's based off the pose from this book here. So if you see that, it's just a little bit different. So see, he's on that rock with stuff, and I mean, obviously because of 3D limitations, like we don't want to have like a bunch of jaggy stuff sticking off. We removed some of that, and we changed the angle of the sword a little bit, and put the other sword in the other hand, and things like that. So he looks pretty cool with two swords in his hands.
That's sweet, man.
Yeah, I finally figured this out.
I could see where figures, it kind of works like animation. You try to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time I design a cybernetic samurai, I'm gonna maybe make him a little simpler. I actually was going through and coloring some pages the other day, and I'm like, man, this bird has every color. He's got blue, light blue, yellow, orange, brown, silver, teal.
And the only person you can blame is yourself.
Right, exactly. But he looks cool though, right? Like he does look cool.
He looks badass, man. He looks sweet, dude.
So a lot of it too is so when I first started getting back into art, which was around 2016. When I made Apex, I couldn't draw hands very well. So that's kind of the reason why I made the bird.
Who can? I mean,
right?
Really.
Sometimes I still forget. I'm like, yeah, I fucked that up. So, so with the hand thing, so now it's hard because we have this character that doesn't have hands, but he's got to hold swords. So we have to figure out how to make that happen.
Right.
Which is worse because there's actually no reference for something like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I want to draw a hand, I could just go pull up a picture of a hand holding I don't know, whatever, and draw it out of that. With this now, the difficulty is trying to figure out how to draw it at certain angles, and still be believable, right? So I kind of screwed myself in the long run by coming up with a quick solution early. But I don't even draw Apex that much. I've been drawing my frog guy. I don't know if you've seen him.
I have seen that. That's pretty damn cool too, man.
That's my next thing. So I'm working on that for. I might do. I'm probably going to illustrate that one myself. I think we'll see if I can get that going. It's kind of more of a digital painting style.
Yeah.
With like more monochromatic kind of digital painting style. So we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty slow at doing full illustrations, so it might take a long time for it to come out. But yeah, it's still in the early phases. It
looks sweet, man. It does.
Thank you.
Now, are you planning on doing maybe introducing it like in a short story, maybe at the end of Apex Cybernetic Samurai?
Yeah.
At some point?
Yeah, possibly if I have room. Just like because like last time we were at the page limit, like my printer's like, if we put any more pages in here, you're gonna have to send it somewhere else because we can't saddle stitch these.
I got you.
If I can make room in the book for it, I probably will.
Or maybe do it as a little a mini. Maybe do like I'm trying to
like an ash can or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Introduce it like that first, and kind of see how people respond to it, and go from there.
Yeah, I got the guy who does my logos. He's got the stuff right now. We're working on the logo and the title for it right now, and then
sweet.
So my plan is for this to either do one big, like maybe 100-page, like one shot style book. I don't want to do anything too crazy that's like drawn out for 5 years. Right now I'm on Right now I've been working on Apex for 5 years now. I think I started 4 years. I think I wrote the first draft of the script in the end of 2018, I think. So it's been I've been working on it for about 4 years. It's a long time to be working on one thing, so I want to,
it's awesome.
I have an end in mind.
It's an awesome one thing.
It is. I have an end in mind for Apex. I don't know how long it's going to take us to get there. Right now we're going to release book 4 on Kickstarter next week. And then book 5, we already got about half of the pages in already for that one. So I'm just going to start coloring that one almost immediately. And then I got to get the script finished for 6. And then I'm going to do 7, 8, 9. It's going to be just 3 like trilogies, I guess we could call them. And that's going to be it. And then I'm just going to kill everybody.
So are you thinking about ending it with 9, or is that, you said it's like trilogy, so the first 3 is like one arc?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
So I'm gonna do three pretty much self-contained arcs, and then I'm gonna end it there. I think for the main chunk of things. I like when things end. I don't like when things get drawn out forever. I mean, I'm not writing The Simpsons, So
now, I mean, When you say end, do you mean like end totally, or you have? I know you got to have something in your head or on the back burner for, something later on with this character, maybe down the road after
I think there's
you've done another
potential
one for a
for
while.
I think there's potential for like spin-offs with like side characters and stuff like that,
Okay.
maybe. And then also with the Apex. So Apex originally started out as just a really silly comic strip, kind of like comical, like I want to say kind of if I was going to combine two things together to describe it, I'd probably say Looney Tunes and One Punch Man.
Oh
So it
wow,
was just kind of comical, like
that's a hell of a crossover.
so basically like it was just one page. I don't have it even printed out in here. So basically it was just like one I was going to do one page a week. It was going to be like an 11 by 17 that I was planning on releasing like webtoons or something like that.
Yeah.
And my plan was it was just going to be Apex is there. He's in Tokyo. The threat comes and he just goes and like cuts it in half.
Oh
But then it
wow.
also had so I had the idea that during the nighttime, because he's an owl, like he would be fighting like monsters in Tokyo and stuff. But during the daytime, he'd be fighting like
Okay.
super shit, like drippy faucets and stuff, because he's like trying to sleep. So he'd go
That's
destroy
cool.
a whole city block because this
One
faucet's
damn drippy faucet.
right. Yeah. So just silly stuff like that. So maybe eventually I might go back to that too and just like do like little silly comic strips of just like Chibi Apex or something like that. Just
Yeah.
just being funny and just doing funny stuff because I mean it was all meant to be lighthearted and it's taken a more serious dark turn
Right.
since I started making it
Funny
real.
how things do that.
Right. So yeah, it's I like the way it's going right now though. I do. It's super a lot of fun to do it. And like I was just looking through, I hadn't looked at them in probably a year and a half, but I was flipping through issue 1 through 3 and I was like, man, this is sick. And I'm like, I'm a little biased because it's mine, but
Yeah.
I'm making the
But
comic book that
still,
I want to read, you know?
looking
So
from a fan basis, you're like, oh wow. And then you realize, hey, I created this badass thing. Yeah.
yeah, and
It's a
it's
sweet
really cool
feeling.
this weekend because this last weekend because I had people buy the first book on the first day, and because it was a 3-day show, they'd buy the first book on the first day, and I had this happen like 6 or 7 times, and they'd
And
come
come
back and
back.
buy the
Yeah.
other ones, and just fucking gush at me about how fucking sick it was, and I'm just like, man, this is cool because I haven't had to been able to experience that,
Right.
with getting real feedback from people. I mean, I get it online, when people back the Kickstarter and they'll message me and they'll say all kinds of nice shit about it, but it was a totally different thing. And I wasn't expecting people to go and buy my book and then come back to me and buy the rest of them. And then,
Right.
talk to me about how awesome it was and just be so receptive to it. So it
Yeah.
was a really cool experience
That's
to
cool.
get to do that.
Yeah, I haven't got to do that myself. Man, the way I work, I miss all the cons. I mean, pretty much everything I've looked at this year, any kind of decent con, I'm at work for. And I'm itching to get out there and just get into it and getting my book out there and start meeting people. I've done the Kickstarters and I've got a web page, but like you said, it's not the same, man. That's what I
Yeah.
want to do is get out there and talk to folks. So I can't even imagine how good that feels.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's just really nice to be able to talk to people and just just have real conversations with people. It's just not like you said, it's not the same like chatting through
Right.
DMs and stuff like that. It's just a whole different experience. We're like social creatures. We're supposed to like mingle and talk to each other in real life.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
yeah,
And this younger generation, they seem to get further and further away from that in some aspects. My son, he was talking about something a while back, and I'm like, well, why don't you just talk to him? Just tell him, I text him. I said, that's not the same. I said, there's so many ways a text can be taken. I mean,
yeah,
because you can't really get sarcasm out of a text. You can't, I mean, we're like you said, we're meant to mingle. We're meant to face to face.
yeah. Yeah, so I think that's been quite a challenge for me for the because I released my first book right after the pandemic thing happened. So
Same here. Yep.
it was April 2020 I was going to launch in March, and then I moved into a studio for my moved my office into a studio, and then launched. I was going to launch my Kickstarter, and then all that shit happened, and then so I just moved it to April, and it seemed like it was an okay thing to do, and it worked out, I guess. For the Kickstarters. The Kickstarters have all been really great. My second one was a little weird, but the second one was kind of funny because it crept up on me a little bit because I'm like, I'm going to launch this thing in August, right?
Yeah.
And then August, 2 weeks before August rolls around, I'm like, fuck, I haven't promoted this thing at all. So
I know exactly what you mean. I did the same thing with my second book. I just kind of dumped it on everybody.
Because right
hey,
now,
here's a book. Woo!
Exactly. And so it worked out. That one was a grind, but the third one went really, really well. We funded in one day. And then on this next one, I've been promoting this one since January. So I give myself 5 months to, get out and talk.
You jumped on it early. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I wanted to give myself enough time to do it. And even now I'm just feeling like, it's still not enough time. I need more time. But
people don't realize the grind with these campaigns. They really don't, man.
It really surprises me, but I mean, it's a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes stuff that happens with Kickstarter, building the Kickstarter. Like building the Kickstarter is probably one of the hardest parts of the whole operation. Getting all the graphics together, getting all the pricing down, getting all the shipping right together.
Yep.
Because I mean, if you mess that up, then it's messed up, and it's just no fixing it once it's launched. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's a lot of pressure, and and making it look good, right? But also making it look readable. I backed some Kickstarters, and some of these guys just have so much shit in there. Like I'm like, what am I buying? So I just get like, my objective always is to be, it has to be easy to buy,
sweet, and to the point. That's what I try to do. Right. You back my book. What'd you think about the way I had mine set up?
I like it. It's just it's clean, it's simple, and I mean that's how I do mine too. Not over the top with
50 covers. Yeah, I've seen that shit.
I try to keep it pretty simple. I mean, some of those guys, and they may have a lot of success doing it. For me, it's they call it decision paralysis.
Yeah,
we have too many options.
It's like channel surfing. It's like when you get on Netflix, you got 5 million fucking shows you can watch, and you sit there an hour and a half trying to find something.
Exactly. So I mean, that happens. So I go and I go in there. I'm like, fuck, which one do I buy?
Right.
I want to make sure I get the good one. Yeah, and that happens. So for me, my objective is always just keep it as simple as possible, make the options easy. Make things if I'm gonna buy something, I want it to be easy to buy, right? So
exactly.
If I'm gonna sell something, I'm gonna do the same thing. I want to make it easy. I want to make it easy for somebody to buy my stuff. So as one of those things,
plain and streamlined, and like you said, you want it as accessible as possible. That's. I looked at a lot of them with my first one, and I kind of studied what worked and what didn't, and I looked at it from the buyer perspective or the funder perspective, and I was like, okay, this dude did really well, but my God, how did anybody figure out what the fuck they were going to buy from him?
Right.
And I just kind of took what I thought worked with each one, and I tried to streamline it,
Yeah, I pulled up. I mean, I have friends that have run successful campaigns too, so I look at what they do.
Yeah,
and it's all basically the same. Like the most successful ones, I think, are just simple to the point.
Yep.
But also just making sure that you're asking for enough money too, because I mean, I've seen guys that have really cool looking campaigns.
I have too.
And they're charging, they're not charging enough money for their stuff, and they can't make their goal because they need 500 backers at that price to get to what they're looking for.
Exactly.
And,
it's easy. I did a lot of homework on that too, because I seen real quick where you could really get your ass in a bind.
Yeah.
If you didn't really pay attention. And, sometimes I get on there and I see these guys throwing out books for $4 a piece, and I don't see how the fuck they do it. I just don't see it. And I mean, that'll be international. That'll be everything. And I'm like, they got to be printing them their damn self. That's the only way. But still, paper, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta make sure they're taking care of that. I mean, it's with I think it's hard because you realize that like it's not retail, right? So if you were
Right.
selling this in the store, you might sell it for $5
Right.
because it would be where you'd be working with a publisher or mass producing or something like that. I mean, this is a very
Mhm.
small run. It's likely coming with a bunch of extras and stuff like that. So
Right.
and that's what the extras are all about, right? That's what the extra things are for. Getting making it more worth their money.
Exactly. You want it to be like an event.
Yeah.
I try to do that with most of mine. I want it to be something special, because I I know exactly how it is. You work hard for your money, and you want to feel like you're getting your money's worth, and I want to make sure people are getting their money's worth when I put a product out there. So I try to do the best I can to oblige them with that, and I take that to heart, because especially nowadays, I mean, gas prices are going through the fucking roof. I mean, it's a mess out there, So I mean, you always think about the people, your backers, or I know
Yep.
I do, and I'm sure you do too. I appreciate each and every one of them. Because without them, we couldn't be doing this stuff. We couldn't
Yep.
be getting this product out there.
Yep. Yeah, that is one thing I think I'm a little worried about a little bit on this one with all the with all the inflation, the gas prices and stuff like that. I mean, what's I don't know what it's going to look like. We're going to see. We're going to find out in a week, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna put it out
It's
there like
right
I
here,
always doing.
dude. You got an awesome project. I don't think you have anything to worry about, and especially you've been pushing since January, getting the word out. I don't see you having any issues.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Because I mean, it's an awesome character. Now let me ask you this: as a future backer, am I going to be able to pick up the prior books? Am I
Yep.
going to be able to? So everything will be
Yep.
available in this campaign.
Every all the original books. So you get I actually have these right here. So just the
Okay,
cover
sweet,
the cover A versions here. So this is so I got this one here, cover A, issue 1.
awesome.
That was my good friend Michael Calero did the cover for that one.
That's sweet, man.
And then this one here.
That kind of reminds me of Mad a little bit. That first cover
Yeah. That's so I did
looks like old Joe Maduro.
Yep. So that's what he said after he drew it. He's like, yeah, this kind of reminds me of Battle Chasers a little bit.
It does.
And I was like, that does, because I had some Battle Chasers on my desk. But when I drew him the layout, I was kind of going for like a Yoji Shinkawa Metal Gear Solid kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I got you.
Yeah. So that's because I'm a huge fan of like Yoji Shinkawa and like all those guys that are
Got some
doing
badass
Metal
stuff,
Gear art.
man.
But yeah, then I got this one here, it's issue 2. Kit
That's
Wallace
sweet.
did the cover for that one.
Hell
This
yeah.
is probably the most popular thing people pick up on my table. They go, man, that looks so cool.
Man, it's one of those covers, dude. Yeah, that's epic.
And then we got this one here. This is the third one, and this one's
sweet.
actually a homage to the Island Hellboy.
Yeah.
So we got and that one wraps around.
Oh wow.
This one's
Love
pretty
it.
cool. I'll open it up for you. Yeah, this one's by me and Brian. Me and Brian did this one. So
That is sweet, man.
So yeah, all those will be available on the next one. I always do like a little bundle, or I'll put them in as add-ons too, if people can just pick them up one by one. So that way, if there's somebody that for some reason they have issue 1 and 2, but they don't have issue 3, they can just get 3 and not have to buy the other 2. Because
I got you.
who knows?
That's sweet, dude. Yeah, I messed up when I did add-ons on my second. And when I first started this one, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but I completely forgot my add-ons.
Oh no!
I had to jump back. Oh god, yeah.
Can you
I jump back in and put them in there. I want to say it was within the first 12 hours. Thank God.
Oh, you do have them on there.
Back,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I have your first 2. I think I got on your last campaign, and then this was your third one, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And the prequel will be out later this year. Like I said, I'll be doing. I'll just be on writing duties on this one, and like I said, check out Matt Martin. He's on Instagram at Chasing the Sun. Check him out. He's got some cool shit, man. Or check out Hindsight at heavymetal.com.
Let me see here. Chasing the Sun.
Yeah, Chasing the Sun on Instagram, or it's at let me see, shop at heavymetal.com. You can go there and just look up Hindsight on their website,
Oh, okay,
and
I see it
he's
here.
on
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, I always have to do it right away, otherwise I'll forget. Like I still have business cards from last week and the prior weekend that I'm like, I got to go through there and like follow all these people because I don't. I'm pretty bad at it. If I don't do it like right away, I usually don't do it for a week or two or a month, and then I'm just like,
Well,
you
we're
know,
men. I mean, we're 9 to 5. Plus, we got, I mean, we're constantly doing something. It ain't like we're just sitting around
always doing something.
twiddling our thumbs.
Yeah, I remember. I
Yeah.
remember when I first seen people making comics, and I'm like, oh man, that's probably like really easy. Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, I used to say the same thing. And,
It's it's a
just
shitload of work,
when you
man.
get in on your, well, oh God, when you get in on your own project, did you ever think you'd have to be, know about marketing and all this other shit?
No, didn't think about any of that
It's just
stuff. All I thought
insane.
was I was just gonna draw. I was gonna draw this stuff and just write it, and it was just gonna sell itself. And that shit was so
Oh
super not
yeah,
true.
exactly. It's just you'll print it, you'll automatically just get a publisher, and it'll be the next best thing since sliced bread overnight.
Yep, that's my next step. I'm gonna work on getting a publisher and maybe push this and try to push this in an animation of some kind because I think this would fit really good as
It
an
would totally
animation.
work. Oh God, yeah, it would totally work. From what
So
I've seen
I've
of it.
always had some like short like type of animation in mind, like just kind of short, not super like long. I don't even think they need to be 20-minute episodes. Just like maybe 10-minute shorts of like Apex doing stuff. Just
Yeah,
that's kind of always been my
kind of like Samurai Jack, something
yeah,
along those lines.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
I was a
nothing
huge
too
fan
long
of
and
that
crazy.
stuff. I love Samurai
Yeah,
Jack, but I could totally see that that would totally work with
I
that.
think so. I think that's kind of where I want to go with that. And then the next one we're gonna do a small video game. I think like a Legend of Zelda style video game.
Oh, cool.
If I can figure it out, it's kind of like it's always been kind of one of the things I've always wanted to like program a video game.
Right.
So it's kind of more of a passion project, I guess, where I'm gonna
I
really
got you.
try to push into that and see how I can go. I've been kind of inspired by a lot of these guys lately that have been just making incredible indie games, like, and they're just like one or two people. So, and I know it's gonna be a shitload of work, like everything is.
Oh
You know,
God,
I
it's
remember
got to
having a
be
nine to
all the
five.
coding and everything. Ooh.
Well, it wasn't a 9 to 5, but I mean, it was like a 3 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. But
Yeah.
and that was way easier than this. You know, way easier.
Yeah.
Driving truck and
Yeah,
delivering
because
beers.
when you're off, you're off. You're.
Right,
I
right.
mean, this is a 24/7 gig, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it never stops because you're having to sell yourself. You're having to sell your project. I mean, you gotta make it work. I mean, you're constantly selling yourself. I mean, you have to. You got to get it. Nobody's going to sell it for you, like you said a while ago. I mean, you're your front man.
yep, yeah. It's pretty crazy how it all kind of ties together
Yeah,
and
it really
all
is.
the extra stuff you got to do.
I never thought that it would be this much, you know, and but it's crazy, I never thought that I would be coloring my own book. I never thought I'd be inking my own book. I always thought, my plans were get out of high school. I wanted to go to Joe Kubert, and I wanted to go the traditional route, and then jump into comics and just be just an overnight sensation.
Right.
That was my pipe dream. But life happened. I fell in love, got married young, and I wouldn't change a thing, But I am thankful that my daughter taught me into actually going through with this, because without her, I wouldn't even be. I, End of days would only exist in my mind as a regret
Right.
that I never fulfilled. She kept pushing me. She was like, Dad, you got to do this. You got to do this. You've raised us. You've done everything for us. you know, get out there and do your thing now. And I was like, well, baby, I don't see myself writing that well. I said, I've got the plot. I've been sitting on the plot since high school. And she said, well, Dad, I'll help you. She said, I'll let's sit down, let's figure this thing out. And it kind of went from there. She said, if you draw it and you get started on it, I'll help you write it. And hey, she pushed me. She pushed me across the finish line with it, and here we are. Three
That's
books
awesome.
in, working on book number. Well, I won't call it book number 4 since it's a prequel, but it'll be the fourth story in the end of days.
We have to renumber them, right? So you have to give them. This will be episode
Yeah,
1, right?
right, right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's cool. I think people give George Lucas a lot of shit for all that, but I mean, the guy had the idea in his head, right? Probably way before anybody even knew,
Oh, you know he did.
And then he's
No,
like,
he
"Oh, I
did.
want to tell this story. This one sounds cool." And I mean, I think people gave him a lot more shit. I personally, I think the prequels were fine. I didn't like the
Oh
first
yeah.
one was kind of slow. The second one had some good stuff in it. The third one, I think, is probably the best Star Wars film out of all
Oh, it's badass.
of them.
The prequels took a lot of shit, but I think they've aged well. I mean, yeah, there's still a little few things I get hung up on. They, over digitized and stuff like that.
We were in that weird
I
time of
like the
where
practical,
CGI
the
was.
prequel, the practical effects more. But anyway,
We were in that weird age of where CGI was just really starting to take off, and it wasn't quite good yet.
right?
I think that's a lot of the reason why it kind of uh, didn't really turn out so good.
Yeah,
Oh man,
bless you.
thank you.
But yeah, it hasn't aged well. It hasn't aged as well as the original trilogy to me. The
Yeah,
practical effects just hold up, man. They really do.
yeah. I don't think there's anything that could beat that. I mean, because the technology is always just going to get better and better, right?
Yeah,
And it's kind of
definitely.
I mean, they did that with Lord of the Rings too. They use a lot of practical effects that just looks awesome still today.
And it still holds up. I went back and I watched the extended versions last time I was in. First time I'd watched them in probably 3 years. And dude, I just took 3 days and I went a day at a time watching a movie, and I was just fell in love with them all over again. I mean, that's besides Star Wars, that's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah,
And
those films are pretty good.
they really are. And it's amazing how well they did hold up. It's just
Yeah,
crazy to be as early as they were in all that. They still hold up. I mean,
well, they invented a lot of the technology that they're using now
exactly.
too, with that stuff. So I think it, yeah, I like some of that stuff with the armies and stuff they did with all the
Yeah,
building
like
the
the
army.
orcs and the two towers. That that
Yeah,
that fight scene, that was insane, man. The special effects on those. I love the special. I like the special features almost as much as I did the movies. Just going and watching how they actually put all that together.
right,
It was
right.
insane. Just the love and the passion that Peter Jackson had for that project is just
Yeah,
incredible.
really good, really good.
Well, dude, I'm not gonna hold you up. I really appreciate you coming on, Kenny. I've had a hell of a time, man. I hope you'll come back and be on the show with us again.
Yeah,
And I've had a hell of a time just getting to know you and talking about your project, brother.
cool. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I'm probably gonna start a podcast soon. I'm in the middle of renovating this office out here. I got a backyard office that
Yeah, cool.
I was going to use it for painting, but then I was going to use it for, whatever. And then it kind of turned into a storage, dumping space for all the stuff I didn't want to deal with. So now I'm going to bring all my
Turn
equipment out
into
and
a catch-all.
probably start a podcast. So yeah, I'll have to have you on when I get that going. So
Hey, man, I can't wait. Hey, just hit me up and I'm there, dude.
cool, man.
Hey, I've got all. Just so everybody knows, I got all Kenny's links in the description. But you want to go ahead and plug yourself one more time before we get out of here, Kenny?
Yeah. So I'm at Kenny Aitken Art on pretty much every platform. So it's at Kenny Aitken Art. You'll have to probably just click it down below because it's kind of a weird spelling, but And my Kickstarter, Apex Cybernetic Samurai Owl Lunar Eclipse issue 1 launches next Sunday. I don't have a specific time, but you can click the link down below in the video, and it'll take you to the notification page. So,
hey, jump in there and log in. Check out his notifications, sign up. That way, you'll get notified as soon as the project starts, and you can go ahead and back him and help him start out strong with that thing. I know I'll be checking it out. I'll be backing him. Y'all get in there and get on it and help Kenny out with this awesome project. And that's going to be a wrap for us tonight. Really appreciate everybody just hanging with us and as we shot the shit and just hung out. But y'all have a blessed night. Take it easy, and we're going to jump off of here.